Thanks for joining me back in the shop. We are gearing up for the Isolation Violation 5. It's going to be exciting. This year should be a primo year. But let's talk about gearing, because last year we had a big uphill that had a tendency to kill clutches and belts. So I'm going to just put this out there and try and disseminate as much information as possible about how to gear your bike. Basically, the gear ratio is between your driver and your driven, either a sprocket or a pulley. It's the ratio of the teeth. So if you have, say for a number 35 chain, a 12-tooth drive and a 60-tooth driven, you have a ratio of 5:1. These here are two Trailmaster MB200s. They're essentially both the same bike. They do have some differences to them as far as modifications. The biggest one is the gearing. So the one in the back here, the Black Widow, runs a stock, I believe it's a 46 or a 48 tooth sprocket on the back. The Honey Badger here runs Go Power Sport split sprocket hub adapter with a 52 tooth sprocket on this. Now I love the split sprocket setups because you can change your gearing without taking your back tire off. Makes it so much easier, and all you have to do is either add or delete links out of your chain. That's where having multiple master links with chain segments comes in handy. It does weaken things up a little bit, but it is nice to be able to switch between your different ratios quick and easily. The only problem with this one is it's aluminum and it gets chewed up fairly often. So I usually have to replace them every race or two, or 20 to 30 hours, whereas the sprocket on the Black Widow is made out of steel. So what this means is that for every 5.2 revolutions of the drive shaft, you'll have 1 revolution of the back tire, 4.8 on the output shaft, and 1 revolution in the back. The reason for this is more torque. I want to be able to spin this tire so that I can climb just about anything. And you definitely need to be able to climb effectively on the Isolation Violation course. So when we talk about gearing these bikes for these conditions, these are 20s, 21 in the case of the Honey Badger, but we're right around that 520 gearing to be able to climb these hills effectively without burning out belts. Alright, so let's go check out our third example over here. Alright, this is our project bike that we've been working on for a while. Haven't shot any video of it, but this actually did start out as the 450 pit bike. So what I have back here is my own split sprocket. I've drawn this up in CAD, have my buddy Seth at DM Targets Plasma cut these out for me. So this here is a 60 tooth sprocket with the same 10 tooth drive sprocket off the torque converter. What this allows me to do is spin this even bigger tire, which is a 23-inch tire versus the 21-inch tire that's on the Honey Badger. Because this tire is larger, I have to use the lower gear ratio, but if you actually do the math on it, they have roughly the same speed at the same RPM due to the diameter of the tire. It's just a whole bunch of math that quite a few people don't have the patience to do. But if you can do the math, and there are calculators, and I'll link one in the description below. It's a Dana Spicer calculator that I use. It makes it very easy to figure out what tooth sprocket you should put on to get the desired result for the riding application that you're doing. So the other thing that I want to get into with you real quick, anybody who runs a torque converter, here's something that you need to know. The front pulley is your engagement. This is your driver pulley. The driven pulley is what controls the shifting, and it does so via this spring, and it uses these 3 holes to adjust the tension of said spring. So when you first get on the throttle, your stall speed is where this driver engages. This is a Juggernaut from Go Power Sports, so this I believe is like a 2500 RPM engagement. The tension of the spring is what controls when it opens up to shift your gear ratios on this. Adjusting the spring tension increases or decreases the shift RPM of the driven unit. Normally it's set in the center hole, but for our purposes, for enduro racing, especially where we're going to have a lot of hills, we're going to want to adjust the spring to the left-hand side, which is going to increase our tension, which is also going to increase our shift RPM, so that's going to keep it in a lower gear for longer and allow us to climb those hills without smoking the belt. The other thing that's going to keep you from smoking a belt is making sure that the back face of these pulleys are perfectly aligned. If you have to get some shims to shim the pulley in or out to get these perfectly aligned. The more aligned they are, the less likely you are to smoke a belt. That's been a short, quick deal on gearing. Thanks for joining me here in the shop. We'll see you on the next one, because we are going to be doing another few videos before the isolation violation, just for a little bit more promotion. So we'll see you shortly.